Hello all. Here in part 4 we will conclude our examination of the Lifehouse project songs. Meant to be more of a farewell to, well, I guess the word for it would be posership, rather than a criticism of disco music, Sister Disco definitely hails from the attempted revival of the Lifehouse concept in the late 1970s. The song features a frantic series of synth lines throughout, which Pete has said reflected his turn towards writing more theatrical pieces of music. This is even more apparent in the demo version of the song, which features a long, sweeping synth intro. If I had to describe the mental images evoked by the demo's intro, I would have to say it's like watching a series of high-pressure water fountains shooting off in sequence, or perhaps an oddly rhythmic rainfall. Sister Disco was a live staple during the time Kenny Jones was drumming for The Who. Music Must Change may or may not have been part of the original Lifehouse concept. In any case, it wasn't recorded until the Who Are You sessions. The album cut features a somewhat minimalist arrangement, largely due to the absence of a drum track. During recording, drummer Keith Moon had difficulty with the song's 6/8 time signature, and in the end, only some of his cymbal fills and crashes were kept in. Also part of the song's arrangement is a rolling milk bottle, Pete tapping his foot, a quiet synth part pulled from the original demo, and some brass parts played by John Entwistle. Originally envisioned as part of the original Lifehouse concept, Put the Money Down wasn't put to tape until mid-1972, and was considered for inclusion on the Rock is Dead Long Live Rock album that was never released. It got its first release on the original Odds and Sods compilation in 1974. The song's lyrics seem to suggest a disconnect between band and audience. Devised to be the villain's theme in Lifehouse, Behind Blue Eyes was written in mid-1970 after Pete was tempted by a groupie. He immediately retreated to his room and began writing a prayer, which became the middle eight of this song. In the Lifehouse story, Jumbo, the government man who runs the grid, is lamenting that he's seen as a villain for what he does when he feels he's doing the right thing. The song was released as a single in the US and in mainland European markets. In addition to the original demo and the Who's version, another solo version by Pete was recorded for the radio play adaptation that features orchestral backing parts. Born from live jams during the Tommy Tour, Naked Eye is built around a repeating guitar riff and features lyrics that seem to urge the listener to not become too complacent. Recorded in 1970, it was originally planned to be included on an EP that was eventually shelved. The Who had held off releasing this song until 1974's Odds and Sods compilation, because they had hoped to release a live version instead. While I haven't been able to confirm this song would have been considered for Lifehouse, its presence in the band's live set at the time makes it a strong contender for at least possibly appearing in the film adaptation's concert footage, had the Young Vic concerts worked according to Pete's plan. I haven't been able to determine if New Song was part of the original Lifehouse concept, but it does appear in the Lifehouse Elements sample CD of demos. It features layered synths and an overall slick sound. Lyrically, the song is about the pressures of catering to listeners, in particular their tendency to ask for more of the same from bands with chart-topping hits. While the fact that the song was merely the opening track of the Who Are You album and not released as a single meant that it didn't get wide enough exposure to hit the point home, I do feel it's always been a relevant idea. Regardless of how successful a band or artist is, they shouldn't feel restricted by the needs of listeners and should make music for the sake of itself. Somewhat of an anomaly among the possible Lifehouse tracks, no full recording of Ambition is currently available. Pete performed the song on an In the Attic podcast in 2006, and it was briefly considered for inclusion on the Endless Wire album. The only official release of the song was a dressed-up demo that was included with a downloadable version of the 2011 re-release of Quadrophenia, but it was eventually removed due to backlash regarding parts being overdubbed. While it was supposedly written for the original Lifehouse project, some sources claim it wasn't actually written until 1972, a year after the project was first attempted. While possibly only loosely associated with Lifehouse, I remember seeing on Wikipedia's page for the Endless Wire album years back that both Sound Round and Pick Up the Piece may have been written in 1971, which suggests they may have been intended to also be part of the rock opera. While it could have been just another Wikipedia editor simply making unfounded claims, I can't deny that the two songs have a strong connection to other Lifehouse-related material. In the Wire and Glass mini-opera that they're a part of on Endless Wire, both songs are from the perspective of Ray High, the main character of Psycho Derelict, which means that if they aren't from the original batch of Lifehouse songs, they are, in a sense, third-generation pieces from the same musical family tree, so to speak. Beginning with a combination of synthesizer and Lowry organ that calls to mind a strong electronic wind sweeping over a vast landscape, Won't Get Fooled Again was meant to be a part of the climax of the album. In the story, it depicts the revolt against the government erupting as the Lifehouse concert itself reaches its peak. The lyrics of the song are an indictment of how ineffectual the social movements of the 60s had been, in particular the calls for peaceful social upheaval by hippie culture. One particular incident that Pete has mentioned as an inspiration for this involved a group of hippies harassing him and his family. As indicated by the final lines of the song, I suppose the message here is, have a revolution if you must, don't expect things to really change. The song was of course included on Who's Next as the closing track and was released as a single 6 weeks prior to the album. The finale of Lifehouse, The Song Is Over, takes place after it's discovered that the concert-goers have disappeared. Boasting lyrics that make the listener feel sad yet hopeful, the song also boasts an impressive vocal performance from both Pete during the verses and middle eight, and Roger during the chorus. It also features synthesizers, some of which provide an interesting after effect for the gorgeous piano part played by Nicky Hopkins, almost evoking the mental image of fanned flames with every note. The other synths provide a beautiful counter-melody during the second half of the song. The coda of the song makes a reference to the lyrics of Pure and Easy. The Song Is Over closed side 1 of Who's Next on the original LP, and has been consistently praised by fans and music critics. On a personal note, and I know this is cliché, if I had to pick one song to be played at my funeral, this would have to be it.